Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Hello Cannot podcast. How's everyone doing? Well, by the time this podcast episode does go online, Christmas is just around the corner. It's going to be this Friday. So, what have any plans that you've made so far for Christmas? Are you traveling? Although I sincerely hope that you're not going anywhere since we have this COVID-19 pandemic that's still ongoing. If you must meet up with your family or friends from different places, or if you're going to have organize any kind of gatherings, please ensure that you try to distance yourself from all of your family, your relatives, your friends, and always ensure that you have a mask on. Make sure it's properly worn on your face at all times. All right, with that said, I just want to give a quick update in terms of the Hello Cannot podcast. It's end of the year, and I believe everyone wants some time off. They want to get prepared. Usually, people just take the entire week off from Christmas up till New Year's. So, the podcast is doing the same. This might be the last podcast for the year, but don't worry, we'll be back in January. So, look forward to that episode, and let's begin. Okay, wait, before that, before I start, let's just make sure everyone has a cup of coffee or tea in front of them. You can pause this podcast episode right here, right now, and go get your cup of coffee, tea, or water before we continue. All right, hey, you're back. All right, so if you have not had the chance to take a look into this week's podcast episode's title or topic, well, today we're going to be discussing about karma. So in life, good and bad things happen to us, to every one of us all the time, right? It is like a very consistent event in our lives that we cannot escape. So just to give a few, one or two examples. So the first example is, imagine if you're a music teacher, you have a student, you teach classes, and one of your student is not really doing too well. So you decide to do whatever you can to help this child's growth, right? Or your student's growth, essentially. So you spend some extra time, without any additional payment, any additional salary. It's just all good-hearted effort to help this student improve in terms of how they can play their preferred musical instruments, right? And this successful student will later join an orchestra and recommend you yourself as a musical teacher for a job within the orchestra. So you can think of it as you're doing good things with good intentions and you get rewarded positively, right? Now, for a bad example, maybe you think of a bully, right? So bully is a very common issue in most schools or even just in life in general. So you can imagine a kid that bullies a schoolmate. He's always kicking him, punching him, stealing his lunch money, and stuff like that normally bullies do. So one day what happens is, when they grow up, this bully actually starts working for the victim. So the victim becomes the bully's boss now. So imagine in the same kind of world where if you do good things, you get good rewards. If you do bad things, you will also get punished. I think it's a very fair system. It's always implemented into our laws and regulations. So this is the life that we as humans agreed upon, and this is the socially acceptable norm that we've composed for ourselves. But just like how Mona Lisa gained its fame, people like to give unique interpretations to things that happen in their lives. Humans in general are just curious creatures. We invented fire, we invented the wheels, we invented metal, plastic, rubber, so on and so forth. And sometimes we do spend more time wondering about the what ifs more so than we should. This just basically means that as humans, we try to understand why and what the person was trying to achieve with their own actions. And for most, if not every action, there's always an intention. So even though we do have a form of intention, whatever the outcome or the result of our actions is also subjective to our own judgments. Many believe that the end justifies the means. So very often we judge the outcomes and the results of actions by matching them to our own subjective morality compass. Yes, morality is subjective, I'm happy to set up a discussion with anyone who thinks otherwise. But today, there is just one widely accepted concept used to judge how good or bad things happen to people, and that term is called karma. So let's quickly just go through the definition of karma. Karma means action, work, or deed. It also refers to the spiritual principle of cause and effect, where intent and actions of an individual influence the future of that individual. In simple terms, it means you reap what you sow, you will get the results of whatever you worked for. So let's just dive a bit deeper into this topic of karma. This karma concept is actually very popular within the Buddhism and Hinduism religions. It is believed that people will be rewarded or punished accordingly to their actions. Cause and effect, as the definition suggests. And I think the concept is straightforward and rather simple to understand and comprehend. Just to give another example, if you steal from someone, maybe in the future when this so-called karma strikes, you might have your belongings stolen by someone else. Or even worse, you might just get struck by lightning just by walking in the rain. This is a very common belief amongst Chinese individuals. In a different example, if you donate to the poor, maybe you will be rewarded with good health and support for yourself and maybe even your family from all kinds of external factors. And this is karma. Basically, I like to think of it as a point system. Think of it like a scorecard. Imagine you doing good deeds. Each of these good deeds will give you a specific point. Like maybe if you're donating money to people, this probably gives you plus 10 points. Or if you're donating your blood, that's like plus 20 points. If you're adopting a dog, that may give you 5 points, right? Just saying as an example. And after collecting enough points, you then have the chance to redeem a free good reward. I hope you know that this is very similar to when you go shopping and when you collect enough points by buying or spending enough in a particular within a particular brand or store, you can then redeem those points for a new product or a service, right? And this is the exact same concept. And this point collection system is also applicable to bad deeds. So the same goes for bad deeds. If you perform enough bad deeds, you collect negative points, and next, who knows, you might just get ran over by a car or struck by lightning, like what I mentioned before. Have you seen the famous controversial TV series, The Good Place? It's available on Netflix, or if you can find somewhere to download and watch it. There is an existing point system within that show that I believe will be able to highlight what I'm trying to say or mention here. Every action will grant you a specific point, but it does go deeper into that. And the series basically explains this by indicating that sometimes you might want to buy a certain product. Maybe let's just say an apple. You're trying to buy an apple from a farmer, but this farmer has killed people before. And therefore, by buying this apple, you're supporting this farmer who has actually killed people, and that gives you negative 10 points. So The Good Place, the TV series, does play around a bit more with this point system, and I highly recommend that if you have the chance, just catch it. There are only 4 seasons now, and I believe by just watching this show, it will challenge your beliefs to the core, and it will give you a better example of how this point system will determine if you go to heaven or hell, which is similar to this karma concept. But that's not why I'm here today. I'm not here to only discuss about the concept of karma. I'm here today to talk about the people that believe in karma. And I'm here to show you how karma is just a passive tool of hatred and judgment invented by someone. And I'll also see if I can try to highlight the problems related to karma if there is such a supernatural entity punishing us for our actions. So imagine if someone close to you recently got COVID-19, but you believe this person is not a good person, so that may lead you to think that this is probably or basically what he or she deserved. Now, if you're thinking that it's karma when a bad thing happens to someone you think is a bad person, please consider how you feel about karma when a bad thing happens to someone you think is a good person. So to kick it off, let me just give you three main scenarios, and let's start off with scenario A. So in scenario A, a man, basically just murdered another man, or it could be a woman. Simple, right? This is clearly an unforgivable event, but it keeps happening every single day, every single time. Killing, by its most basic essence, should be illegal. We have rules, we have laws that were implemented to take action and to serve justice to these people. If you've been observing long enough, I'm sure you would have already noticed that there are plenty of people who have committed all sorts of crime without any repercussion or punishment. Not every murderer or every thief gets caught. Not every pedophile, every sexual offender gets punished. Even if we have implemented all the right laws created to handle these situations, we just do not have enough resources to identify and locate these crime-committing culprits every single time. However, what helps karma-believing people sleep at night is knowing that karma will follow these people wherever they go, stalking them and quietly recording down the points for them. And when the time is right, karma will strike. They will deserve every bad thing that comes towards them. And just keep this in mind as we move on to our second scenario, scenario B. So in scenario B, let's just use Adolf Hitler here. A man that tried to erase an entire race. More killing? Sure. But how exactly is this different from scenario A? So just bear with me for a bit. Throughout the history of mankind, there have been many occasions where we have seen a psychopath that tried to eliminate or to eradicate an entire race. So Hitler is one of those examples. From the Old Testament, you also have the Egyptian pharaoh during Exodus. And these are all events that happened during wars, or they started wars. For every scenario B that happens, it is basically a collection of scenario A's. So by killing a lot of people, you're just multiplying the numbers with scenario A, which is just one person killing one person. And in every war, you basically have troops and soldiers. These troops and soldiers are basically ordered to protect or to invade a certain place, a certain country, or just within a certain boundary. But the problem here is that these platoons or these soldiers, they have no choice when they are thrown into the battlefield to kill or be killed. How does karma work in this scenario? Does every soldier get judged individually, or are they exempt, from such judgments, and only the leader will absorb the collective damage done? So in this case, imagine a soldier that was ordered to kill 10 people following the orders of, let's say, Hitler. Would this soldier then bear the entire responsibility of killing those 10 people, or would Hitler get judged instead? Now, to make this even harder to judge, imagine someone from scenario A, a person that basically killed another person, except this person killed Adolf Hitler. So by doing this, he is eradicating the main problem of a war, and he saved millions of lives of Jews just by killing one man. How do you think karma will react to this kind of scenario? So for any of you who may think you have an answer already on how karma works here, hold on to that thought, and maybe let's continue to scenario C. And in scenario C, I basically just want to highlight to you the trolley problem. This is a fun one. For those who have not encountered this problem before, let me just explain it. And this time around, you will play the role of the main character for scenario C. You are the star. So let's start. You're walking along the train tracks when suddenly a train conductor yells from inside the train that the brakes are not working. So where the train is supposed to go, it splits into two train tracks. And so it diverges, okay? On track 1, you have one person tied to the tracks, whereas on track 2, you have 5 people tied to the tracks. All of them are still alive, and the train by default is heading towards track 2. So this train is going to take 5 lives. But you can make a change because in front of you is a lever. And by just pulling this lever, the train tracks will change and the train will kill that one person only on track 1. Would you pull the lever? Remember, karma is just standing right behind you, judging every move that you make. So of course, you have the option of refusing to do anything just in case you don't want to get your hands dirty. And now the train kills 5 people on track 2. Now, karma is either going to fail you for not taking action, or karma might just close one eye and say, hey, those 5 people were going to die anyways. Zero intervention means zero responsibility. It's like saving a rabbit from a wolf in the wild. We do not impact the ecosystem in favor of just retaining the natural order. What I'm trying to get here is that there's just no way, no chance that karma can judge anyone fairly, no matter how you put it. The situation is so complex that it's impossible to come up with a point system that can be applicable to everyone. So let's move on to the real discussion here. Let's talk about the people believing in karma. Karma is partially about making excuses to comfort themselves and partially being passive aggressive in wishing the worst for others. Give it some thought, take some time to process it. Karma believers think that all actions will be paid back either in this lifetime, the next lifetime, or in the afterlife. So, you stole from your neighbors, eh? Get fucked, son! Rot in hell! Or even just, hey, you got raped? Oh, that's so bad, but you know that you were wearing a bikini, right? You're showing all your skin. So maybe what you wore was just tempting the other person to just, come over and rape you. So, you deserve that, right? And these are basically the type of vengeful characteristics that we see from people believing in karma. You never know when karma takes action. It's actually consistently inconsistent. It's like a coupon voucher with an expiry date. But maybe, just maybe, have you ever stopped to wonder? Maybe karma doesn't exist at all. Maybe there are things such as coincidences. Life is never fair. Deal with it. There isn't necessarily a corresponding effect to every cause. Don't be naive. I personally find it ridiculous for religions to believe in reincarnation as an insect or animal. Both creatures do what they do to survive. It is an ecosystem where everyone thrives with one another. The fact that we view such creatures negatively, so much so that it is considered a negative drawback to become a grasshopper, it just illustrates our fat egos as humans. What if, on the off chance that a mass murderer gets reborn as a paralyzed child or, maybe one with Down syndrome? It no longer matters how much he or she has to suffer for what was done before, but what can he or she do now to ensure that the next reincarnated life will be one with better health and better rewards. That's karma, condemning one person for eternity throughout all reincarnations and lifetime. People who believe in karma are usually non-confrontational backstabbers, except maybe the fact that they are using another entity for the backstabbing part, and they usually do not want to get involved personally. We shouldn't always attribute that bad things happen because that person has done something bad before. We should not ignore the good things that that person has done. If you're stealing to feed your family, you need to know that maybe this is the problem of the government. It's not a problem of your karma getting back at you. In general, we should not wish the worst case scenario for anyone ever. Hello, cannot lah. I believe the initial design or the creation of this term or concept called karma was used to control the masses, to control the public so that they do not do bad things, because someone is just there silently watching you, everything that you've done and you're about to do. But karma now has been abused to show what all the bad things that happen to a specific person because of every bad thing that he or she has ever done in their lifetime. To wrap this all up, I basically do not believe in karma. I acknowledge the concept of karma. It's a very basic concept to control the actions of the community and society. But along the way, it has evolved into a very hateful kind of concept that everyone is using it to judge people. So my recommendation here is that to keep your distance from people who believes in karma and how karma will punish other people for the bad things that they have done. The truth always hurts, but it also helps us grow faster. Don't just be a passive, arrogant prick who wants karma to solve everything for you. Believe what you may, but I hope you can understand what I'm trying to say here. Karma is just an invention of the human mind, but it seems to be more commonly used for negative reasons in our society today. That's why I wouldn't encourage it. But if karma helps you sleep at night, just try taking cough mixture instead. It might be even more effective than you think. #lifehack, #sleep like a pig. I hope there's more takeaway for today's discussion in terms of karma, and you can learn to process it and digest it into what you think is the best way forward for you. So until the next episode, which is gonna happen I think next year, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to everyone, to all my audiences. And of course, if you have any comments, anything that you would like to share more in terms of the topic of karma, feel free to leave us a comment on Instagram or YouTube at Hello Cannot Podcast. Take care and we'll see you in the new year. Goodbye.